Hi. Hi. It would be traditional in situations like this when someone comes out at the end of a long day and they say hi, you will say hi back. Let's try it again. Hi, and you say hi. Okay, it's kind of a test. See where we are. Hi. I think you guys might be one of the most beautiful audiences in the whole world. Look at all you beautiful marketers. So this, yeah. Now that is agile and responsive and efficient, unrehearsed again, filled with unrehearsed moments. Okay, so it's awesome to be in Seattle, and I'm just looking at this title here, Ultimate. Okay, so that's a pretty big promise to make. Ultimate, I mean, it's not like casual or mostly ultimate search and social mashup, just like that word. It's like hacks or mashup or whatever. And expertly, not casually or sort of, curate, which means keep track of, owned, which means it's a brand asset that belongs to me, audiences, collecting people, audiences, and cookie pools. So that's kind of buggy and stuff, like especially after a whole day of MozCon. Like what is that? Like, I mean, it's all too much for me. I'm trying to keep track of everything that I'm learning here, and thank God there's like Rand to like save us. Thank you, Rand. You are at the center of the blue eyeball. You are the center of my blue eyeball. You got it? Raise your hand if it's not your job to like make money with SEO and social and PPC and retargeting and data and business automation and cookies and blah, 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 vomit. Raise your hand if it's not your job to make money. Right? Because that's what we do. We make money. We're marketers, so we figure out how to sell things. And there seems to be a suggestion out there that you cannot make money with social. So that's pretty cool. I like that because there's more money making in social, like for us, who know what to do. And the secret is you have to integrate the flanks, if you will. Anybody ever search for steak map cow? Steak map cow. It's like, you know, there's the social stake, the search stake, the mistake, the stakeholder. Just kidding. So I have the pleasure each year of judging some of the awards, like a couple of European search awards in Reykjavik and Berlin, and then a couple of US search awards. And in 2013, like my whole office was fortunate and grateful to have me receive the US Search Personality of the Year award on behalf of my whole office. And you know what the real cool thing you get from that particular thing is? You get to see 230 agencies' case studies from all around the world every single year. And the tactics that I'm going to share with you today, they're prevalent all over the world. Europe is kind of actually a little ahead, like in my opinion. But all over the world, people are using hybrid tactics like what I'm going to share with you. And the data is really, really clear. Like there's no question in my mind that the way I'm going to share mashing up search and social and paid and organic and SEO and everything, there is like a tactic that binds all this stuff together. Every award in the short list that was a blend of paid and organic and social for this year's European Search Award had some component of what I will share with you. Because the reality is that if you give us tools, if you give us money, if you give us people like you to help lead thinking and all, we're going to think of cool shit to do, aren't we? Are we going to think of cool shit to do? Give me a yes. Yes. Right, we do cool shit. We're marketers. So I want to spend a few minutes on this slide, uncharacteristically for me. The yellow line, the orange line at the top, the upper left, see that little orange line? That's cost per final conversion in a lead generation environment. And the blue line are leads, and the red lines are final conversions. Let's just get with this concept, all right? So you'll see at the very beginning in the upper left, it costs way too freaking much money. And we're getting a lot of leads, but they're not particularly bright leads or great leads. I mean, the amount we're spending and the amount of leads we're generating aren't converting reciprocally to second-tier conversion. So this is a lead gen analogy, but it works in any multi-stage conversion process, which is what content and social often is. So you'll see as we go on in time, the amount we spend to get a lead lowers rather dramatically until it settles into an efficient mode right there where the CPA is nice and low. We're generating the right amount of leads and we're getting reasonably priced conversion. That's the model we look for as marketers anytime we have two steps in a conversion, whether we're talking about pay-per-click retargeting, content discovered by SEO and retargeting, anything, any combination, leads that become sales. Okay, so these are the three things I'm going to share during my time. How many people have ever seen me speak before? Raise your hand. How many people were at MozCon in 2012 and saw Rand come out and sit on the stage with me? That's the way the internet turned out to be. It is. So we're going to talk a little bit about gleaning social intent, especially in paid amplification targeting, and just selling with psychographics. Psychographics, who we are, what makes us up, interests, affinities, proclivities, biases, politics, sexuality, occupation, net worth, liquid net worth, and lots of really cool big data objects that you can layer to make us who we are. And I want to help you with like that first stage, because the first thing you want to do is just sell right away. Then number two, I think that social media marketers are going to have a whole new set of expectations placed on them in terms of their place in the marketing process. So we'll talk about those responsibilities. And then finally, we'll take a 3-year later pass at filtered retargeting and social marketers who push content with amplification to psychographics and then turn the audiences over as curated cookie pools for performance marketers to run search campaigns to follow around with a different set of filtering or whatever. Okay, so I just lost the first little part of you, but don't worry, I'll take you back to that. So number one, we're marketers. We sell things. Put me in an elevator, and if we can't sell it in an elevator, we're not going to do it on the internet very well. Unless it requires a lot more information, right? So, selling with psychographic data. The reality is if you buy targeting in Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Datalogics, Epsilon, BlueKai, any data service, if you drive someone to your website, you are buying the list. You don't have to score at them right away. You could just build out a test audience and then do whatever you want to them until you're done, right? Curating humans. So you have to think about buying a high-profile psychographic to your site as a way to hold on to those users. And there's lots of amazing things you could do with it. And it's more than the mainstream channels. Obviously, Google, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, they've got really incredible data. And if I was going to like invest in ad tech, that's probably, I would put my money in those companies and Oracle. It seems to be buying up data services. The reality is that when it comes to psychographic selling, we think about these mainstream social channels, but there's dozens of boutique agencies, and some of them have such unreal data that it seems like one side of the room is the NSA, and the other side of the room is you shouldn't click on my ad because I'll associate it with your customer record. The worst thing you can do on the internet right now is click on someone's ad and become a known customer because they're sharp. They're collecting you. So let's do an analogy of like really active and well-rooted psychographic personas. It doesn't matter what channels we're in. We'll make this one channel agnostic as a concept. So let's start with home square footage. That one is available in Facebook. Say I'm like selling homes, right? Target people, homes, right? Then you can find out let me take a step back because I got excited. We're selling home mortgages here. So we start with the square footage of the house. The year of the home loan, that's pretty cool data. We're layering it, so it's the AND operator. Then we go, okay, so they make more than like $1.25, or they have high household income. These data objects are coming from different places, and we're layering them in a program like Trade Desk or something like that. And now let's throw in, they like online investment and trading, so they're likely to be susceptible to do-it-yourself creative. Like, do-it-yourself creative? So that's a pretty tight persona. Pretty tight, but I think you can get deeper using preset objects. But you get the theory, right? Of how we can layer targeting and it reduces the audience every time. Say we're marketing a restaurant, like a, like a $22 a plate, $16 to $22 a plate restaurant. You could start in Facebook with this data logics behavior. A lot of the behaviors have money built into them and intent. They're pretty cool. And you go, this is the thing that is going to root all my personas. And then I'm going to filter that. Because this is MasterCard data by way of data logics inside of Facebook. So we're targeting Facebook network users with data logic objects here from MasterCard. That's where data logics got the data ostensibly. And the data object is mid-range restaurants, non-quick serve. And over on the right, they are high spenders at mid-range restaurants. They're not average spenders, they're high spenders, right? And it's not McDonald's, it's non-fast food. So this is a really cool place to start, right? And, oh, and by the way, going back, that's in America, that's 14.4 million people, and we're after 3,000 or 3,000 to 10,000 people in a geo with this targeting. Then dial in active words, right? Eating at. If you're interested in culinary tourism, then you like to go out and do shit. Culinary tourism, dining out with, eating out with. You have to be careful about the whole eating out thing in terms of skewing the data. Sometimes I'm too geeky for my own face, that's for sure. So start with an object in Facebook that really is about intent and financial qualifications. That's a big number, and then filter it with active words like spending time, keyword with, watching, attending, visiting, touring, playing, selling, going to. You know what's really whacked about the social psychographic sales thing after all this time? You know what it is? It's freaking keywords. It's like social intent is about keywords. It just kind of blows my mind. It's like, great, SEOs are social marketers for sure. Keywords, what a concept. Then let's keep layering on the and operator. There you could go for income. You could go for luxury items. You could say that they use their credit cards or whatever. And there's a new category in more demographics in Facebook under the net worth that you can't see until you drill all the way in that's about liquid net worth. Liquid freaking net worth. Not only are they loaded, but they stuff it in their pillows. Investable assets. Thank you, God, for investable assets as a way of filtering customers on Facebook. Thank you. And so that works out to be like several thousand people. Then if you want to expand, you just relax some of the restrictions, right? Here's another one. Here's a dual route for a persona. Again, in the mortgage tip, selling mortgages, say veterans or something like that. So now I could go, there needs to be two root behaviors because there's enough data out there. So we go, they're interested in mortgages online and they're previously employed by the US military. Right, mash that together and there's actual numbers. Remember, we're selling refi loans to vets and originating loans. And then you could get active with it, right? Remodeling my home, extreme home makeover, right? Remodeling income property. That is a lot of intent. What's sad is that we know a couple of things. We know that the more we focus it, the more we run out of people, like every other kind of targeting on Earth. And so that specificity is the enemy of scale. And it's easy to talk about this a lot, but go into your vertical and your geo and see exactly how much you can filter it. And that's the Tau. Specificity versus scale is a huge consideration. Also, some marketers, when they put things on walls, they're not using units that drive people external. You know, if you put a picture that is hosted on Facebook on your Facebook wall and somebody clicks on it, it doesn't mostly go to your website. So that seems like kind of a waste. Want people on our website. We want people on our website. Leading me to this slide, which I actually created this slide for 2012. It's the only slide in this deck that existed in 2012. And I just want to do a quick think, refresher about why we even bother with social, why we care about content and social. We want traffic to our site. We want scalable traffic to our site, visitors who are going to do whatever we want them to do. We want to be able to say that if they come to our site, that ultimately they will take the action we want them to take. We still need links. That's why we amplify content to every columnist who works for a major American newspaper who likes NASCAR or grooved couplings or dental adhesive, because definitely sending content by way of amplification around the internet to influencers works really well. You need to create social signals, so of course I'm going to amplify content to people who like The Onion or have a track record of taking things hot on the internet. We still need likes and follows and shares. And if we do all these things, then that protects us from little hummingbirds and penguins and pandas that like nip us on the ass and make for conversations like, oh no, I've been bit by a hummingbird. I don't know if technically a hummingbird can actually bite. Anybody ever been bitten by a hummingbird? Ah, God. I want the person who names the drugs for the pharmaceutical company. I want that job. Well, a long time ago when I had cancer, there was like this shot you had to get every week. It was called Nublasta. And then while I was ill and recovering, and I'm perfectly fine now, of course, they invented the shot that made it last for a whole month, and it was called Nulasta. I wonder how much they paid a PR company for that shit. So if you're a social marketer, if you work for me, there's some things we expect. We expect that if we spend any money, time, effort, content creation, anything, sending people to a web page that we own, we want you to turn those users over to the performance marketers to operate on. The good news is it works really well to run search campaigns by way of RLSA, remarketing list for search ads. If you run remarketing lists for search ads to people who were on your site for content, theoretically it should convert better than just the plain keyword to everybody, or else our branding doesn't work. And I don't think anybody would ever say that branding doesn't work, even though in previous generations of marketing we could not prove that as well. New expectations. You can find this on aimClear blog. aimClear blog. That is the root of this talk, this blog post. It's the notion that whenever we drive people to our website, whether it's for a big keyword that matters to us, that costs a lot of money, or whether it's a social audience, we want to ask ourselves, is there any reason to keep track of this audience other than just dumping it all in some big dumbass retargeting bucket of everybody who touched a page? You know the metaphor, right? Wait, we should take a breath. We've reached the halfway point, and it's traditional to take a breath at this time. Ready? Ready? Okay, ready? In, wise, out, mind. I feel cleansed. How about you? You feel it? Do you feel it? It's last here after you had a whole day of egghead MozCon. So you know how I fixed it for me? Half the slides I would usually put in this space. Half. So you know the concept where we just go, oh, the page is how we target retargeting. Like I search for a trip to Heathrow from Minneapolis, and then I go into Facebook. You know, I'm on the page like Minneapolis, St. Paul to Heathrow. Minneapolis, St. Paul is my home airport. So for one thing, British Airways needs to make that about England and Heathrow in that ad and not bury it in the text. But the point is, the targeting for the retargeting, retargeting is just targeting, but the targeting for the retargeting was that I touched that page, and so the ad is still customized in little gray text that I almost can't see. United Kingdom is the last word on the lower right. Tell me, SEOs, do we put the most important words in the last words on the lower right? No, no. Airbnb's really good at it. Airbnb's really cool at it. I'm looking for an Airbnb so I can go muskie fishing in Hayward, Wisconsin, and I go to read the Star Tribune to see what the weather's going to be, and they're working to sell me Airbnb. And then there's the companies that assault you as if you are a criminal being pursued in the Black Forest, where you have the misfortune to click on an ad and go to a landing page because your car broke and it's freezing out. And get away from me, I already bought something. Page as the metaphor, right? I had the misfortune to touch a page, right? Or funnel retargeting, like the page is the metaphor. I get to step 3 of the funnel and I bail before the end, and so they send me a better offer. Or, why did you leave our funnel, you creepy boy? How about if the ad says, you left our funnel and we're going to hunt down your parrot? My segue to the digital marketing industry was from CBS, where I helped make early broadcast television websites in the early and mid 90s, and we always thought we should make a thing for the news. Watch our news, or we'll harm this puppy. I love animals. I love animals. I kid. So now, there's a new way of thinking about retargeting other than just I hit that page and I'm going to be abused. And it's segmenting it. Listen, you know how you lump all your retargeting for the landing page from all the keywords into like one page and shit? Why not separate out the $50 ones, the 92% that don't convert? Because obviously immediately following those suckers has a little more financial weight than your program. Why not separate those out and run RLSA informational campaigns that cost 20 cents as they nibble around the edges and you've already attached their keyword to it? And in reality, you could look at the targeting strengths of any channel, either search or social or whatever, and you could go, is there anything here that bears separating out for a different treatment? Is there anything there? And oftentimes there is. Like, if you're algorithmically the best known and most trafficked outfitter at the end of the Gunflint Trail in Minnesota in the Boundary Waters. Anybody here know what the Boundary Waters are? Yeah, Seagull Outfitters. They're our client. I experiment on them a lot. It's the only trade that aimClear has, and with a really good reason. And I wouldn't want to be any of the other outfitters. They curate their cookie pools as people who love the Boundary Waters. They live in Minnesota. They buy fishing and outdoor equipment, and they make money. Or they love the Boundary Waters, they're anywhere in America, they buy fishing and outdoor shit and they have money. Or they're the hot states and fishing and outdoors. Or they're all over the world with no other filtering and they make money everywhere except America, right? And what's pretty cool is we could run search campaigns just to these people. It's really fairly easy. Okay, can anybody tell me what kind of fish that is, please? What kind of bass? Nice, that's good. Now it's gonna get hard. What about this one? We're not really gonna talk about marketing. I'm just gonna show you my freaking fishing pictures. And I'd just like to point out that I'm showing really big fish and I didn't catch any of them, not any of them. So just like brand terms are a brand asset, I think of our good friend, Bill Hunt, who worked at IBM for many years. And he always said being a search marketer at IBM was somewhere between being a mediator and a rodeo clown. Because who gets the keyword IBM? What business division then? How do you decide what business division gets IBM? So the answer is, first, who's going to lose their job if they don't get IBM? And then he had this whole system. And so if you sell dental adhesive to orthodontists that own practices of a certain size, or chapstick to ski instructor, or pizza to people that smoke weed in London in the middle of the night, and you drive those people into your landing page and you convert a prodigal amount, most often from social, not enough conversion at too high a cost. And the low cost stuff, there's not enough of it. Scale, specificity, scale. Seems like kind of a mambo sort of thing, scale, specificity. So you look at these primary audiences that are verticalized per our clients or your business anyway, and you go, who owns that audience? Who owns the $50 keyword chunk to follow it around? So segmented retargeting is the second thing, and it makes a whole ton of sense. Filtered retargeting. So this was MozCon in 2012. It was like 6 months before remarketing came out, and the only retargeting in the world that was really effective at the time was kind of ad roll. I mean, there were other services, but that was the one we kind of all understood. And I spoke to the crowd here at MozCon, and I talked about psychographics and retargeting and filtered retargeting and Page is the metaphor, and thinking about it, it was really hard to explain. And Rand came out on the stage and sat with me and said, Marty, I sense that you're saying something that will somehow be important or even revolutionary. I mean, you guys think that's true? And the audience went, yeah, and I'm looking at 800 people. And he'd go, raise your hand if you don't have any idea what the fuck Marty's saying. And I look at my face. I mean, I'm just like, looks like I just saw a ghost or ate raw liver. Or it was really, and then I went back under the soundboard and curled up in the fetal position for like about 15 minutes and sucked my thumb and tried not to cry. And then for 3 years, I got phone calls from marketers saying, holy shit, then I made $10 million. And that's the way the internet turned out to be, actually. Because all I was trying to say is if you retarget everybody that comes to your e-commerce site, why not retarget the ones that are rich and love to buy that shit? That was the most harrowing moment of my life. It's like I was here, and I was kind of here, then I was kind of here. I think I need to have a moment with this. Well, how bad would it be if I tripped and fell off the stage and broke my face? It would be bad. Then when remarketing came out, I went, I knew it! I knew it. People who visited your site or app, filtered by analytics. It became kind of obvious in those days that marketing isn't really actually like a funnel. It's more like a bong. Well, it is Washington, isn't it? No smuggling on this road trip. You know what's really cool when you're on an airplane and you want to keep being on your smartphone? Just put on earbuds and just go like that while you screw around with your phone, and they think you're just listening to like something. Leave your phone on longer. That's the most valuable tip of the talk. You drive stuff into your marketing system on the right from psychographics, social targeting, display. Display is as old as the freaking moon. Targeting is just way better now. Or from search. And then you do your best to convert in the chamber, and then if you don't convert, then you kind of shoot it up again and it comes back down in. I mean, it's not really a bong. I mean, it just looks like a bong. I mean, my artist did it, and I went, that's a bong. But it doesn't really work like a bong. I mean, you don't blow it back in or anything. Don't tell my mom. So I can drive someone in from a psychographic segment, and then I could retarget them filtered by search. Remarketing lists for search ads. Anybody here use RLSA? Of course you do. Of course people do. Raise your hand if you use RSLA. Raise your hand if you just don't like raising your hand and you use RSLA. Raise your hand if you want me to shut up my face about raising your hand. Okay, thanks. So that's pretty cool because that's where you drive someone into your website who works for one of 3,000 companies and run AdWords campaigns filtered by occupational psychographics. Or it means you drive in all your sports people who are loving moms and like to take their daughters mountain climbing and then run AdWords campaigns to them, or follow them filtered by something. Retargeting, where you start with social and then you run AdWords campaigns to those people, puts the credential, social, behind the inquiry, search. The credential behind the inquiry. Or you could drive someone in from your big keyword and filter that by psychographics. Here's an example. The keyword is Nikon binoculars discount, which is, or something like that. That's a very expensive keyword. You drive them into your website, and 92% of the people do not convert. So you keep track of that audience because it's a super expensive keyword. And these days, the first place we go to decide if anything needs a special retargeting treatment is, did it cost way too much to where I don't even want to buy it anymore? Why buy the data twice? I could get that in front of search users for 20 or 30 cents if it's the right keyword. And who cares if it's only fringe, right? I know what they want. They're attached to that big query. But you drive them in, and now I've got 50,000 people, say, that search for that over the course of like 6 months or whatever the scale is. I retarget into Facebook, and I filter it by people that like to use their credit cards online and the Audubon Society, and I serve them creative that's pictures of looking at beautiful birds with binoculars. Because the secret of all of this is that creative is truly the last mile of psychographic segmentation. And if you're not willing to segment the creative, then there is a case to be made to ask, why am I bothering with this shit? Then drive them in from search. I said that scenario before. Big, huge money keyword, build a remarketing. You can only do RLSA with Google products at this time, unless you build something. So you drive them in for the big money keyword, and then who cares what they're searching for when I hit them next time, if it's even lightly associated, because it's only the people who I purchased buying that big, expensive keyword. Because you see, marketing is list building again. Whenever we buy keywords or social segments, we're buying the data. And remember that chart we looked at where it started too high? That's where you're gathering the data, and the next part is where you're operating on them until they do what you want them to do. And almost every marketer gives up that I know, this is not scientific, but many marketers certainly, to equivocate, many marketers look at that first one and they go, this isn't going to pay for me. That keyword's not going to work. That social segment's not going to work. It's way too expensive. I generate a whole bunch of dumbass leads, and they convert, but they're not good, etc. And so as marketers, we're going to need to take a longer view of all this stuff. And of course, you could drive someone in from like a psychographic segment and filter that by anything. I don't want to get too far in the weeds. I think you're understanding the great big bong of marketing. Just like say it. It's a marketing bong. That's me when I was 6. That's ridiculous. It's so nice to have time. Oh, wait, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, so this is a bit abstract, but if I do drive them in because they're nuclear scientists who live in Europe, and I run an AdWords campaign to them searching for ways to defect, I definitely, there's no scale there, but you get the idea. Sometimes it frightens me how my mind works. I'd be scared of me. Anyway, the point is that if I drive somebody into the website for one reason, certainly I can grab those variables from the URL and associate that information with their record. I know how I targeted them, and they came to my website and they became a customer, so I've got the data, right? Certainly if I retarget them, I can take note by that tagging that I followed them and that they became a customer. And certainly, if we filter the retargeting, we can add the additional variable and build a dossier, basically, on users. And that's the closest I've ever seen in all the bullshit uses of the word persona to actually building a persona that I can actually own and keep doing shit to until I prove that we can't figure out what to say to them or nobody cares about the product. Because at the end of all of this, what you have is, are you good enough creatively to sell your shit? And everything that I'm describing here within many of your careers will be mostly programmatic, except humans will input to targeting concepts. Because only I know that if I'm going to sell snow to Eskimos, I can sell the lady Eskimos blue snow and say it makes hubby virile and want to clean up. And I can tell the men Eskimos that the red snow makes lady Eskimos want to dance close. And no machine's going to do that for me yet, not in this world. So targeting and creative. And the irony of all this is after all is leveled in the playing field and we all use these techniques all the time and the systems and UIs are built beautifully, it's going to come down once again to who says the right shit to sell a product. It's pretty exciting. So a lot of these expressions are kind of overused. Psychographics. I like to do a little thing. I imagine psychographics. It's like psychographics. 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 And personas, like how many different, I have to do a blog post about how many different bastardized versions of personas, like what the hell is a persona? It's an expression of who people really are, maintained with data warehouses where we can operate on them as marketers anytime we want. That's a persona. It's not actually that complicated. So, sell with internet-wide psychographics, not just Facebook and the main channels. There's many different ways to use data like that all over the internet. And you could do anything you need with Facebook and Google. And Twitter arguably is really cool. If you're a social marketer and we ever hire you or you ever hire me, you have to go, hey, all this money we're spending on content amplification, how about if you hand over the cookie pool and I'll run AdWords to these people for a while when we're done? And double-edged sword. What if it doesn't work? What if my branding doesn't do anything? What if I use it to focus up my content by seeing what kind of content touches end up being customers in RLSA campaigns? And then keep in mind that retargeting doesn't have to be big and dumb. Listen, if 1,000 people come to your website a week, then retargeting has to be very general, everyone who touches the whole site. If you're Amazon.com, then you can filter retargeting in layers and find where it is in your case study, find where it is. So we have a super secret psychographic social distribution weekly tip sheet. Social psychographic social distribution weekly tip sheet. We never market to you. You can email me. Just email me, marty@aimclear.com, and I'll route you. Also, I just turned my Twitter profile @aimClear over to my company, and I'm at Marty Weintraub, and I think I have about 6 followers. It was stark. It was like having my identity stripped, like all my hair. So with that, I'll just say you guys are like some of the most beautiful marketers like in the whole world. I can't even tell you what it means to me to be able to speak with you here at MozCon and see so many great minds, and just think how much media spend would be screwed up if they nuked this room. So with that, I'll say thank you, and if there's any questions, we'll answer them. I'll stay around as well and be at the networking event too.
Holy shit.
That was pretty slow for me, wasn't it? That was half the slides in twice the time.
No sitting on the floor this time.
I have PTSD from that shit.
Holy shit.
Oh my God. And then PTSD though, you have to truly have PTSD, you have to actually avoid something, but I seem to go back to the scene of the crime.
You do seem to go back to the scene of the crime. Marty, I think once again you told me amazing stuff.
Thank you.
You told all of us amazing stuff. But I only understood 20% of it. That 20% made me very excited, but I think the 80% can blow my mind.
Well, I'm not disappointed about that this year.
Excellent, excellent. Okay. So, I'm gonna say what I think I heard, and you're gonna tell me if I was right.
You're right.
Let's try this again. I'm gonna tell you, no, all right. Okay, so in 2012, you told us the internet will soon allow us to market to people who visited our websites and performed particular actions. And you told us that the internet would let us market to people who've taken actions not even on our websites, like on social networks, through search, through what they've visited on the web, et cetera.
Basically buy the lists.
You buy the list. Now you're telling me, if I have this right, you're telling me that I don't even I don't have to choose just one of those. I can combine all of them together in a huge variety of ways. So I can basically say, anyone I ever touch, or anyone who whoever touches me, or touches any of these networks or search terms, I can now combine them.
Yeah, you can take any keyword, and when you follow those people, you could say only the rich ones. Right. Or you could take the rich ones who have a certain job and like a certain thing and market content to them, and then run AdWords campaigns to those people.
And I can take anyone who visits my site or any part of my site, and then I can filter by demographic, by psychographic, by search keyword, and I can choose the creative. So your point at the end there was basically, all you have to do is find the right creative because we know everything about them.
Yeah, targeting and distribution aren't the problem anymore. Like targeting is like empirical and distribution is ubiquitous and following is filtered.
Right.
Targeting is empirical, totally, because there's so much data, particularly in America. The Europeans have their panties all bunched up about data, don't they?
Because they have a lot more privacy issues.
We've been saying to people in America for like about 8 years, buy your list now before politics shuts it off. Buy your list now. So basically what it means is that anytime you do what you would consider traditional social targeting, which everybody can relate to, and we all can relate to following those people around. Right. But now following them around means you can run an AdWords campaign to them. And it works coming from the keyword side too. You take why wouldn't you filter out your $55 keywords and make them a special class? Because if they're served up right away, they're $55 freaking keywords.
But now I can take them and I can say, only show the $55 keywords to this particular audience.
Yes, it's remarkable in itself that one would consider just separating out expensive keywords for money and follow them at all. Then you can put a keyword filter on it when you follow. You could put not a keyword. You could put a filter on that when you follow them and say not the ones that have bad credit.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay.
Each part's pretty remarkable.
So this is how you achieved that first slide that you showed, which was basically you took the cost per click from way too high to way down low, and you took the number of people or the percent of people who got from a first conversion to final conversion way up.
Right. It's pretty neat because
so higher conversion rate plus lower cost per acquisition.
Yeah.
And all I have to do is filter and filter and filter.
Basically, almost all paid media, search or social, is too little conversion at too high a cost. And the stuff that you can afford, there's too little of it. Otherwise, you would be the biggest company in the world and not Google.
Right.
Right, because they're not going to give you anything that's ROI positive at scale. They're going to make. And do you not think that Google could layer like custom affinity audiences on the first hop for search?
Like Twitter does.
Yes. So what's happening here is we've passed the point of innovation where it devolves to keep us at bay. Because Google could absolutely go, yep, it's a keyword and a custom affinity audience. And you know what would happen? We'd have like 45% click-through rate and shit. And CPAs would be crushing. We'd keep our money instead of Google. So they make you combine the data with these bullshit layers with remarketing.
So you're just telling us how to do that extra work to get that.
Yes, and the two tools that make this real for you to do it today, people, are Google remarketing, where it's very easy to segment out individual cookie pools. Don't go segmentation crazy. You have to lump a lot of stuff together, but select things to segment out. And Facebook retargeting that just lets you retarget into Facebook native with additional Facebook targeting, including custom audiences.
Can I take the custom audiences and then put that in my own remarketing pool, like with AdRoll or something like that?
There's all kinds of different tools out there in this world that let you take pieces of data about people and create lookalike concepts.
What do you guys use at aimClear?
That's what I always say to Google just to piss them off. What do we use? So we use a lot of Facebook native and various API tools, the same ones that people here use. And we invented a device called RETARGET that helps us manage. Like, we created a push-button appliance that's the top of the funnel and the bottom of the funnel. So you press 3 buttons on the left and it drives in our segmented top, and then you turn them off and press 3 buttons on the right, and it has just.
That's custom built. You
Yeah.
guys custom built that.
But you don't need to custom. Yes, what we use. But you don't need to custom build it at all. You could do it. You could leave here today. Anybody here do native retargeting into Facebook, where you just follow in? It's the best retargeting. It's great retargeting, right? Go up to more demographics and filter it by anything over $30,000, and just start by saying they make some money, right? And then what's really cool is that if you try to sell with that shit first, you find out if there's a segment in Facebook you can use to sell a pizza or a mortgage or a $900 million water treatment plant, that's the same targeting that's going to work as a filter when you retarget everything else. You pilot if you're at scale and you have a lot of visitors, technically speaking, your direct response social targeting is what you can filter site-wide retargeting for, and it's dead-eye. It's crazy-ass shit. It's just dead-eye.
Marty,
I can almost explain it this year round.
I feel like I get the other 80%. Thank you.
Thanks. I love your hat. Thank you, Seattle. We love you, Seattle. Yee!
Thank you, Marty.